Okay, right. This should be either really quick or really, really long. We'll see how it goes. I was going to write loads of stuff and try and follow some sort of plan, but that's not working. So, there are certain concepts with BPD that sort of overlap each other, and it's difficult to break these things down into sort of under 10-minute bite-sized chunks. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things today that actually leave a couple of questions and fit into other things later. And if there's anything that doesn't quite make sense, so don't worry about it. It will do later when I talk about other things, but not today necessarily. We'll see how it goes because I'm kind of just rambling here. So today I wanted to talk about the concept of favorite people. People with BPD have favorite people, and it's quite an odd concept. So the reason why this actually overlaps is because a lot of the problems that I'm going to talk about relating to sort of the main indicators of BPD are more greatly amplified when it comes to these people. I don't know what makes us choose our favorite people. Some people just have one. Some people have several. I think I have 5 or 6. There seems to be an element of not quite hero worship, but admiration involved. A sort of aspirational quality. I wish I had this element of this person about me. That kind of thing. That's kind of what it's like. And so these people that we put up on this pedestal for whatever reason have the ability, unbeknown to them, to make or break us at any given moment. And it can come from the slightest of things. Just all of our energy goes into thinking about what these people think about us. How's my relationship with so-and-so? That's the most important thing. Do they still like me? And we overanalyze absolutely every single interaction with these people and every interaction that we see them having with other people. And that's the kind of shit that leads you down the road of, do they like me? What about that thing they said? Were they really smiling when they said that? Did I fuck that up? Did I say the wrong thing? They don't really like me. God, I'm such an idiot. And it just goes on and on and on. And with these favorite people, that is amplified by 1,000,000 times. It's certainly not a romantic thing. It's not a sexual attraction thing. There's nothing like that involved with it. It is purely I don't know. That's the wondrous stuff with this. I don't really know. I can tell you what it's like for me. And it is very much like you pick your own group of cool kids and you want to be with the cool kids. That's kind of what it's like, but it's totally in your own head. It's totally made up and it only works for you. I know that people who have one favorite person have a lot of trouble with that, which I can totally understand. You're pouring so much of yourself into this relationship with this other person, and they haven't asked for it. They don't want it. They don't necessarily know what's going on. All they know is you're kind of really clingy and there all the time. And when it's just one person that you see regularly, maybe it's somebody you work with, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a housemate or something like that. When it's somebody that you actually have unlimited access to, that must be a nightmare for the person that we latch onto. And again, that sort of builds up into our fears about what other people think about us and that kind of thing, because we know we're doing it. but we don't know how to find that level of correct interaction. Do you know what it reminds me of? Years and years ago, when I was a kid, I was taken to some sort of science museum somewhere. There are many science museums in many places, but what stuck in my mind was a particular little computer game based exhibit they had that was all about showing you how you can't consciously do the things that your brain does as your brain does them. So it was sort of setting up a control of, here's a man and let's make him walk across the screen. And as he's doing that, you're going to control his breathing and his muscle function and all this. There's a button, a slider for everything. And it starts and the man falls over and dies because you can't do what your brain does on a regular basis. You can't consciously take control of that and remember, breathe in, breathe out with everything. That just happens automatically. And I sort of view other people's ability to socially interact as that bit. That's the bit you don't think of. You just know. You just are not too much or not distant. It's just how people interact. And I feel like the BPD has you running that stuff on manual. And you can't possibly keep up with it all. You're not supposed to be controlling it, but you've got no choice because there's no auto control for it. And so it makes you a bit much and excitable and or distant. The complete opposite when you're worried that you've been too much for people. And so to have all that concentrated on one favorite person, because I've just remembered I was talking about favorite people, that's a lot. And the way to sort of deal with it is easier said than done, because you sort of have to learn a couple of skills here. First of all, you've kind of got to learn that manual control over yourself. And the good news with that is that it becomes learned behavior in the end. Right? You don't have to work at it forever. What you learn with the manual control will eventually just take over and become that automatic control. Okay, so you can learn your way out of it. How much of what you have to do that will depend on your particular situation and how you are. And I suppose it wouldn't hurt if you're lucky enough to have people around you that can honestly tell you this stuff. Right? It's difficult to take, but I wonder how useful it would be to be able to sit down with a friend and have them be able to say, without fear of causing upset and offense, you know, on that day when you did that thing, that was a bit much, dude. That is helpful. And that learning that kind of thing is a benefit you get from group therapy, from being able to talk these things through with other people and compare behaviors and that kind of thing. So you can learn your way out of it, but you have to take the reins for a little bit, which can be extremely daunting and difficult. And I'm not pretending that I've got some magic solution for how you do that. I'm doing my best as I am. And so it's like I know what you're supposed to do, and I'm sort of doing it. I'm the fat guy doing the workout, but I haven't lost the weight yet. That's what it is. Consequently, I'm also that. But that's by the by. So, favorite people. If you are somebody's favorite person, and I wonder how many people will see this and go, shit, he means me, doesn't he? I'm sorry. Really, I am. You don't pick it. It just is a thing. Right? If you are somebody's favorite person, assuming you want to be nice and help people, because look, we do people's heads in. I totally understand. It's difficult. And I could completely understand somebody for not wanting to put up with it. It truly is somewhat of a burden. But if you are willing to help and try and be positive in the whole thing, the best thing to do is to understand and not get frustrated. Try and be honest. Try and be clear about things. On the one hand, I want to say, like, just be aware of how even the smallest thing you do can destroy somebody. But on the other hand, that's not your responsibility. It's actually not. I don't see that as your responsibility. If I'm having irrational feelings about your behavior, that's not you aren't doing anything wrong. You don't have to necessarily change your behavior. Me changing my behavior is what's important. So be honest, be open, be able to talk about it. Don't put up with shit. Don't let somebody make your life miserable for you because you're their favorite person. But at the same time, I think try and understand that the other person is hopefully working through and trying to fix these problems. It's more like give them a chance to fix it, sort of thing. And don't get angry at them personally, because the chances are they know what they're doing and don't want to be doing it any more than you want to be going through it. It just feeds into that whole theme of generally be kind, be tolerant, try and understand what somebody else is going through. And at the same time, we try and do the same thing. It's very difficult, but hey, it's all about trying and getting better, isn't it? And you've got to talk about this stuff, otherwise it doesn't get any better. It just gets swept under the carpet for years. Okay then, well, that's pretty much it. Favorite people will be mentioned again. It's sort of a tiny thing, but it's important to know at the beginning because, like I say, it is going to come up again. I just want to say as well before I go, thank you to everybody who gave me such a positive response to the last video. That was amazing of you all. And I'm glad that some people actually got in touch and said that it was in some way helpful to them. So hopefully this has been as well. And hopefully I can do something else going forward. So until then, you take care and I'll see you later. Bye bye.